Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are, whatever time of day it is. I'm your host, Reverend Donte Carroll, host of Turn Up the Volume podcast. Excited to be here yet again with another episode, another edition, another topic, something to really get us all thinking. Before we get started, good, I just want to say it's our 1 year anniversary as of January the 8th. We've been doing this 1 year,
All
and
right.
it's just amazing. The guests that I've had on, the feedback, and just everything that has taken place over this last year. If y'all have been following this show any length of time, y'all have seen the transition of this of my office. It went from this beige looking room into this wonderful blue space and decorated and done some wonderful things. And so I'm just excited that the Lord has allowed me to birth this out of the pandemic
Mm.
with some spare time, and even as things have somewhat gone back to normal, I was able to keep it in my schedule and to continue to do this. And so, happy anniversary, not just to me, not just to the podcast, but to you all who have subscribed. We went from all of 100 subscribers to now we at 325 on Facebook, on YouTube, and we have plenty that follow on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. So y'all do me a favor, hit like, share, and subscribe, y'all. Uh, we're going live right now on Facebook, so hit the share button, tag some people in this broadcast, and also make sure y'all follow me on social media at Deontay J. Curl on Twitter, Facebook Deontay J. Curl Senior, YouTube Deontay Curl, and Instagram at Deontay Curl, all one word. But without further ado, I have a special guest here with us tonight, Lady Deborah Simmons.
All right.
How you
All
doing?
right.
How you doing?
I'm doing well. Well, congratulations on 1 year.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations. I
It,
know it's not an easy feat, but
no, it's not.
congrats. Congrats to you that you're sticking with it, even during the pandemic.
Consistency is the key to this thing.
It
Consistency,
really is.
and
It really is.
I tell anybody, thank you to those who like the show, even to those that don't like the show. Thank you very much yourself, because y'all get mad and put stuff and share stuff and talk about how you don't like the show. Y'all make other people watch, and then they end up subscribing and sticking to the show. So all publicity is good publicity, in my opinion.
That's right.
But, but nevertheless, thank you so much for joining us today for a topic: the role of a preacher's wife slash first lady. And I think it's a necessary topic because first ladies go through a lot.
Hmm.
Preachers' wives go through a lot, and I may use them interchangeably sometimes. So I may say preacher's wife, I may say first ladies, but I may use them interchangeably. But they go through a lot, and you've known me for quite a few years now. You've connected with me when I was younger. I probably say over 10 years, and
Yes.
I've watched you. You watch me. I've seen you function in ministry. You're seasoned, and I thought it would be appropriate to pick your brain about some stuff
Okay.
concerning the role of a first lady or a preacher's wife, because you have some that are going through changes, that are in the trenches with their spouse, and they could really use a lot of wisdom. And so
Uh,
it's important.
Absolutely.
My first question to you is: how do you define a preacher's wife? What does it mean to be a preacher's wife to you?
You know, people say that a preacher's wife is no different than a wife. We're still a wife. I'm still a wife. I'm a wife before I'm a preacher's wife. Okay? Let me put it that way. I'm a wife before I am a preacher's wife. And I kind of chuckled to myself when I saw the role of a preacher's wife, because a preacher's wife, the role that she takes on is going to be, it's not a one size fits all. It's
Mm-hmm.
whatever she makes it. It's whatever I make it or whatever the next lady makes it. It's what she makes it. She can be as involved as she would like to be or uninvolved. There is no such thing as, oh, the preacher's wife have to be this. When I first married my husband, and I'm going to share this because when I first married my husband, he and I both, our church is non-denomination,
Mm-hmm.
and we are products. of the Church of God in Christ, Kojic.
Okay.
So when I was dating him, he was not a pastor at that time, but he was an up and coming, flourishing minister. I mean, just really gigantic, and he was blowing up and very, very vivacious.
Mm-hmm.
And the seasoned other pastor's wife were telling me, "Oh, you're gonna have to play an instrument. I'm gonna have to play the organ. I'm gonna have to sing." All of these things. You're gonna have to wear a hat. I mean, they were telling
Wow.
me all these things. Listen, I'm like, you know what? I am cut from a
From a
different
different
cloth.
cloth.
I I march to the beat of a different drum.
Yes,
I'm
you do.
sorry, but you know what? I am going to be me. I cannot be someone else. I cannot walk in someone else's footsteps. I am going to be me and make the role what
Mm-hmm.
I would want it to be.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that simple.
Yeah. Which, well, you kind of went into one of my questions. What was that conversation like between the two of you all, particularly once you guys started a church? Because pastoring, when the man pastors, even when he's just a preacher of the gospel, that's a responsibility.
Yes,
And some would argue that that's also a responsibility or a burden on the wife as well, because she has to pray for him and cover him and things of that nature.
of
What
course.
was what was that conversation like for you all? Was it because sometimes some women will say, "I don't want to be married to a preacher," you
And I
know.
did it.
It,
I did it.
so
I
what was
did it.
that conversation like?
And I did it. I remember when he first told me that he would, because keep in mind,
Hmm.
when we met, he was not a pastor.
Right.
He was a minister.
Hmm.
He did not have a church or anything like that. So, and at that time, it wasn't even a conversation that we even talked about as far as him getting a church. So when he came to me after we had gotten married and told me that the Lord was calling him to start his own church, and I'm like, oh, okay. You know, I, I said, oh, can you? Well, you know what? Well, what about being a good deacon? You know,
She said, "What about being a good deacon?"
what about being a good deacon? Because I really could not see myself being a minister's wife. I really didn't. And that's the God knows truth. I really didn't. I, and I'm gonna just be honest. I'm gonna be
Be
transparent because I'm
transparent.
always transparent.
Hmm.
I didn't want to do that because I didn't want to go to church every Sunday. Okay.
At least you're honest.
It's just that simple.
At least you're
So
honest.
if I am a pastor's wife, then that means that I'm gonna have to go to church not every Sunday, but on Wednesday night Bible study, whatever else they're having during the week. I'm gonna be compelled to do all of that. So I did not. I went kicking and screaming all the way, so to speak. But you know what? It was
Uh-huh.
a process. It was a process. And you know what? I cannot. 20 plus years later, hey, I can honestly say I would take nothing for the role that I'm in now. Absolutely nothing.
Now
Nothing.
that you talked about you didn't want to go to church every Sunday, and that leads into the conversation about there's an image that one would have to keep up. You got to be in place every week. You got to be doing this. You got to be doing that. But the reality is sometimes you might not feel like being bothered. And so how do you go through those moments? Like, do you take sabbaticals? Do you say, what, this Sunday I'm just gonna stay home and work on my mental
No,
health? Work like how do you get through those moments?
no. Truthfully, when you are, particularly when you're building a ministry,
Hmm.
no, there is no sabbaticals. I did not take a sabbatical. If he was there, I was there. I committed to that 100%. So whenever the doors of the church were open, I was there. I don't care what it was, what was going on, even if it involved the children, I was still there. You know, you just don't, because he was a hands-on pastor. So
Hmm.
with him being a hands-on pastor, I had to be hands-on as well because I don't want to make him look bad. I don't. I would do nothing to destroy his image or to destroy the ministry or anything like that. So I had to become hands on as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, anytime the door is open, we were there. And I don't care what was going on, we were there. And I know a lot of people say, oh, you have to have that break, or sometimes you need that break. The only time I would miss if I was really, really ill.
Mm-hmm.
That is
And
the only time
and is that
that
to
I would
this
miss.
day? Is that to this
And
day?
that's to this day. If
Mm-hmm.
I'm really, really ill, that is the only time that I will miss. But that is rare, rare, very, very rare.
Now, so I know you've probably heard throughout your life and your time as in ministry that, oh well, first lady isn't in the Bible, but yet we can't deny that that title exists in the 21st century church. You know,
It does.
it does, and so because she plays a role, would you agree that a preacher's wife or a first lady is the backbone of the ministry?
A preacher's wife can make or break a ministry.
Let's go into it. Talk about
I'm serious.
it. Yeah.
She can make or break. I mean, I don't care how good the man of God is. If his wife is constantly in chaos, is constantly causing friction between the membership,
Mm,
she can make or break the ministry.
mm.
She had to be even keeled at all times. Even, you know what? She's the buffer. The first
Okay.
lady is the buffer. I am the buffer between my husband and the members.
Oh.
I'm the buffer. I have to, you know, because there are often times that he, as a pastor, will have to crack the whip, and there are sometimes when I kind of go and I put that soothing salve on it. Okay, yeah.
What
So
James
yeah,
Brown say? When I get burnt, I use salve.
yeah. So yeah. Trust me, the first lady can make or break a ministry.
That's
She really
true.
can.
That's
She
true.
can.
That's true. So okay, and so if she can make or break a ministry, then that leads into conflict resolution. How do you, it sounds like you are very particular when it comes to conflict resolution because, like you said, you either make or break the ministry. Um, how do you handle conflict resolution where you are in ministry versus when you first started?
Well, truthfully, conflict when we now one thing my husband and I did start together, and we said that we would never counsel, particularly a female, unless I was in the room as well,
That's
because
good.
because things can
Happen.
be misconstrued. They can be misleading. So you need to have somebody in that room. And particularly when you're a small ministry, it would have to be me. We're growing now, so sometimes it's not just me, maybe someone else is in the office. But when it
Mm,
was just us, when we were small, 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 then yes, I was normally in the room every time there was a confrontation or every time something broke out in the ministry. We like to, what I say, head it off and cut it off at the root. We would bring each party in that was involved in it, each party. And look, you said this, you said that. And so you'll find out exactly who's lying. When you
mm,
bring all parties in the room, you will find out who's telling the truth and who is not. You
mm.
will. Because you don't leave room for he said, she said, because all involved parties are in the room. So there is no he said, she said. Now you said this. So, okay, if you said, why did you say that? Is that true? So you're going to have to come clean or go away dirty.
Now, let me back up a little bit because you kind of led into my next question. Um, when you talked about counseling, uh, and making sure, particularly when it's a woman, you make sure you're in
Hmm.
the room or what have you, or somebody else is in the room. My next question was going to be, what are the challenges of being a first lady or being a preacher's wife? Because I would, in my mind, I would imagine one of the challenges is women or dealing with other women, trying to come after your husband. I could be wrong, but I'm going to ask you because you are a preacher's wife and first lady. So, what is that one of the major challenges, or is there something else that people are
I
not aware of?
wouldn't say it's a major challenge, but I think that comes with the territory. I do. I think it comes with the territory. And I expect that. And the truth of the matter is, when they walk through the door, I can spot them. The moment they walk through the door, I can spot them. I know. And you know what? That's fine and good. That's fine and good. But I am not. I will say this: my beef will never be will never be to get out of the box with the woman. My husband is the one that made the pledge and the vow to me. So it is his place to put her in place,
Amen.
not me. That's not my job. It's his place. That is his job. That's his responsibility to put her in place. Now, if he's entertaining that, that's a whole different subject. Then that's going to be him and I.
That's true. So what? Give me one more other challenge of being a preacher's wife. Because some people don't. Some people may not even be privy to what you all go through and the challenges. And some people may think that, oh, I'm a preacher's wife. Because some people aspire to be that, right? And some people
Yeah.
want to be a preacher's
Some
wife or a
people
first
really,
lady.
some people really, I never could understand that, but I do. I can't, yeah, but I guess, but it is not all glamorous and roses. And, there are challenges to be, I'm talking finances, especially when you have a small ministry. There are sometimes that you will have to take out of your own household to keep the ministry afloat. So, are you willing to do that? Are you willing to cover him, with your job, with your finances? Or are you willing to take your finances and cover not only your household, but the ministry as well? So it's not all peaches and cream like people think it is. Of
Yeah.
course, the mega ministries probably have their own challenges, but I'm just talking about with a small ministry. There are some times where you will have to take from the household to keep the ministry afloat. And thank God that we are past that now. But at one time we were there.
Yeah. Yeah, and I can't even imagine with COVID, right?
Yes.
Churches having to shut down. The giving might not be the same, and so you're still trying to hold on to the building. You're still trying to do things virtually and do it in the space, in the church space, to still present something of quality and
Yes.
and so I can't even imagine. But um, growing up, my dad was a pastor, and my grandfather up in Baltimore, and so I've had a bit exposure to what you know first ladies or preachers' wives go through, and it is a job. And I can say my bonus mom, she before my dad started pastoring, right?
Yes.
My father was his father-in-law's armor bearer. Like
Okay.
he would play the drums, he would pick up folk for church, and preside if he had a preside, and work the audio room. So my dad was doing a lot of different things on top of getting
He
into
wears
ministry.
many hats.
He wore
Yes.
many hats. And
Mhm.
so I remember as a child, and I hope she's watching. I hope my bonus mom Kiki is watching. I remember as a child on Saturday nights, before my father started pastoring, he was just preaching, right? She was typing up her father's sermons for him the night
Yes.
before.
Yes.
And so it's things like that, making sure he had something to eat the morning of, and
Hmm.
buying, making sure that he had his towels or whatever it was. And so it's things like that that people don't see, that go a long way. That when you see the man of God, or when you see the preacher, a lot of times people don't see the woman that's standing behind, or
Absolutely.
the women, like because that was his
Yes.
daughter, that was my grandfather's daughter. They don't see the women that are standing behind these powerful men that's
Yes.
making the atmosphere conducive for them to not have to worry about all the other stuff, but to focus
Absolutely.
on the word of God, delivering the word of God, preaching and teaching to the people. And I don't think, in my personal opinion, the women who are important to these powerful men of God don't get enough credit. And that's
They
just my
really
humble
do.
opinion.
They really don't. Like I said, Crossroads is at a position is in a position now where where we are running smoothly. I thank God that even during the pandemic, we have not missed a beat. We have had to close the
That's a
building
blessing.
down. We have had to close the building down,
That's
but
a blessing.
the people have been really, really good stewards with the finances and the resources and stuff like that. So we have not had any problems. But that comes from the teaching of the leadership, of course, and that also comes from having great people. My husband has a great ministry team. And
That's
I
a
want to give
blessing.
a shout out.
Shout them out. Shout them out.
I want to give a shout out to Sister Aisha. She is a great help to my husband. Minister Porter, she does the audio. We have some great people who does great things for the ministry, and they keep it afloat and they
Yeah.
make our job much, much just really, really easy. It makes it easy for us when you have somebody that is carrying the load because it is. It can be very, very heavy.
Yeah.
But when you have someone that is ministry minded, because everybody is not ministry minded. When you have someone that is ministry minded, that loves the ministry as much as you do, then they would go above and beyond the call of duty.
Absolutely.
And we have those. We have some of those that go beyond, above and beyond, and we call those our disciples. My husband says you have some people that are just members, and then you have some that are soldiers, and we have some soldiers, and I thank God for the soldiers.
That's a blessing, and I hope that somebody that's actually watching listen to what you just said,
Hmm.
and take it to apply it to their life and their ministry and where they are now, to the point to where you say something so key and so pivotal. Before the pandemic, y'all were already, in my words, building disciples, so
Yes,
that when it was time to go virtual and when it was time to do church virtually, folk just kind of fell in line. You ain't
they did. They
you didn't
really
have
did.
you didn't have to spend a lot of time while y'all are closed down trying to, you know, beg anybody to give to keep the church doors open, because y'all already were teaching, y'all already were giving out these
Absolutely.
principles, and people were seeing. Once you put these principles into practice, this is what happens. These are the results. You follow what I'm saying? And that's a blessing, to be able to say that. And shout out to your team. They in the chat now. Team CCC, Team Simmons. Shout out to your people in Houston, Texas. We love y'all. Thank y'all for chiming in. So my next question, because you have some churches and some ministries where they are such a power couple to the point to where um, you have the husband may be the pastor and then the wife is the co-pastor,
Correct.
and you have some men who don't believe in women being in ministry. They believe simply in just having a trophy wife. You just sit on the front row, you look wonderful, you look grand, you look spectacular, or what have you. What's your view of women being in ministry? Is that
Well, you know what? I'm sure they're probably putting that in the chat already. We are Team Simmons. Apostle Simmons and I are Team Simmons. We are a team. Whatever we do together. We minister together. We pray together. That church is Team Simmons. It is not just Apostle R.L. Simmons, but it is Apostle R.L. and Deborah Simmons. Yes,
I
we are.
love every bit of it.
It's a team effort. It has to be a team effort, and it
Yeah.
should be a team effort. You know what? If that's what the pastor wants, is that he wants his wife to be the trophy wife and to just sit on the front row and look pretty, that's fine if that's what he wants. Whatever works for them. But as for me and my house, we are a team. We're a team. We are together. Everything we do is together.
Mm.
So
I love it. I love it because the reality is some women have to do that. Just sit on the front row, look cute, look wonderful, what have you. Which goes into my next question. Like, oftentimes, you have some women who lose their identity just supporting the husband or supporting their their husband who happens to be a pastor. Like, how important is it for the woman to not lose herself or lose her identity, her dreams, her aspirations? Should there be a balance, or should she give up everything, her dreams and aspirations, just to follow? Like, where do we find the balance?
that is going to truthfully depend on her as well as him. They are going to have to come into agreement because I'm going to tell you, it can be very, very easy to lose yourself that you don't even know who you are anymore. You know, I have literally heard some pastors' wife not even introduce themselves as their name, or my name is Valerie so and so, or my name is Deborah Simmons. They will say, I'm Apostle Simmons' wife.
Mm,
That is not who you're more than that.
mm.
That's why I played that song when I put that on my stories. More than a woman.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
noticed
I,
it. I
I,
loved
I'm,
it.
I'm, I'm more than Apostle Simmons' wife.
Hmm.
I'm more than my kid's mother. You will lose yourself in the ministry if you are not careful. So you have to have balance, but that is going to have to be something that you and your husband work together on, and y'all have to come into consensus because it is a man's, and I'm just going to say this, it is a
Hmm.
man's nature. They will put this on you because the wife is the closest thing to them. So they will put this on you and put that on you. Baby, I need you to do that. I want you to do this, that, and the other. And before you know it, you are so engrossed in everything that's involving him and his ministry that you know what? You don't know where he starts and you begin. You have no idea because you have totally engrossed yourself in his life. The things that are going to make him comfortable, the things that are going to make it easy for him. What about you?
Mm,
So you have to take that time and say, hey, you got to step back. You have to step back
mm. Yeah, I
and take
think.
some time for yourself to find out
Yeah.
who you are.
Mm. I think that's very important. That that the wife does not lose herself supporting the husband, waking up, sundown. She's just pushing the ministry, and
She's pushing the ministry.
time is passing her by, and she has lived her life not fulfilling anything that the Lord has put inside of her. And in my opinion, when the husband is a pastor, he has a platform to allow her to be that flower bed for her to plant the seeds of ministry and the things that she has going on.
That's right.
For example, if you have a ministry, if you're a husband, that let that be the flower bed for her to start a domestic violence ministry. Let that
Hmm.
be the flower bed to start something to help single mothers. If that's what's on her spirit, if that's what the Lord has put inside of her to help people, not just to make sure that you looking good, you looking grand and wonderful.
Absolutely. And you
You know,
also have to realize there are some wives that are they preach just as hard as he does, just as hard as their man of God does. You know, I'm thankful that my husband encourages that. He does. He encourages that. As a matter of fact, he saw that in me before I saw it in myself.
wow,
And he
wow,
cultivated it. He cultivated it and pulled it
wow.
out of me. Yeah, because I didn't see that in myself. Of course, I had the tenacity because, yeah, I'm going to say it. Before we got married, I used to own a nightclub. So that
All
same
right,
tenacity that I had,
that fire,
I
that
just,
boss
that
status,
fire, that tenacity, that fire, I just,
that
you
zeal.
know, yeah, I just turned it around, and you know what? I put boldness and that same tenacity into the church.
Mm-hmm.
That boldness,
Yeah.
because he saw, and he saw it in me that I did not see that. You know,
Listen.
I didn't think in terms of using whatever gift, the boldness, the tenacity for God. If I was using it for the to elevate and glorify the devil, certainly I can use this same voice and this same tenacity, this same drive and zeal to glorify God. And so he cultivated that and pulled it out.
Listen. My wife said the Lord knew what you were working with. Uh, she she had a question for you to backtrack. She said, "Can you talk more about the background unity, prayer, couple worship, etc. that undergirds the ministry? People don't always understand the partnership required in private."
Oh yes. Oh yes. Of course. My husband is the fivefold ministry. He is. He has the fivefold ministry. He's apostle, and he has all gifts of the ministry. And
Wonderful.
there are times and I'm still learning. We've been married almost 25 years. I'm
Wow.
still learning that I have to give him his space,
Mm.
in order, because sometimes he just zones out, and I'm thinking, okay, what's going
That's a
on?
whole nother conversation.
That's a
But
whole
go
nother
ahead. Go
conversation.
ahead. That's a whole nother
He just zones out, and I'm like, okay, what's going on? Did I say something wrong? Did I do something wrong? But no, he's just into himself. So I've come to realize that, you know what? Okay, you're praying, you're taking this time to pray. And then, you know what? I'm praying for you as well. I'm praying for you that, because I know that there is an attack on him. So I'm always undergirding him. I'm always praying for him. I'm always covering him, because I know that he's a threat to the enemy. So of course he is going to come under attack. So I'm constantly praying and covering and undergirding him always.
Mm. Yeah. And that is it takes me back. I hope she don't mind me sharing this. But you were talking earlier about that. I wonder, is he mad? Is he this? Is he that? And my wife and I were just having this. We have this conversation quite often, and it took me back to because I had to preach last week, and so
Mm-hmm.
my wife always tells me that my study habits in terms of how I prepare and all these other kind of things looks very different than what she grew up, because her dad is our pastor. And so
Yes.
seeing him preaching his method of preparing, like she knows when he had to preach, the whole house is quiet. And so when she sees me, she sees that I require things that are different. Like I pace. I don't sit down as much with my head in 50 million books sometimes. Sometimes I've read the word, sometimes I have it in my mind or what the Lord wants me to preach, and I'm meditating on it, and I'm pacing, I'm walking, I can't keep still, and she's looking at me like, is he gonna be ready? Is he like what is And so I think that's a whole nother conversation in terms of knowing your spouse, right? When you are
Yes.
first lady, you have to know your spouse. You have to, at some point, know what they need and know like the back of their hand, or the Lord dealing with them. Like, this ain't personal,
Yeah.
yeah,
It's not personal. And you know what? She has to realize it is not personal,
yeah.
because I'm a talker, and I just talk, talk, talk. And oftentimes when my husband's getting ready to go somewhere, especially when he has to do a revival, some type of conference, and we'll be driving to the place, and I'm just running my mouth, and he's not saying one word. He is totally zoned out. He hasn't said anything to me at all. And I'm kind of like, do you hear me, baby? Did you hear me? Did you hear what I said?
Getting in your
And
feelings.
then I realized, I said, oh, okay. So I just hush. You know, I just have to hush and just tone it down and just let him, let God speak to him, and just give him his space and his time.
Yeah.
I've come to realize what's going on during that time when he totally shut me out. It's not anything that I have done. It's not anything that I've said. And it's not that he's not going to be prepared or anything like that. It's not. It's just God is dealing with him during this time, and he's just listening to the voice of the Lord. So I just leave him be.
Yeah. Yeah, my wife, she said I don't still have those questions that was in the beginning, but we talk about it from time to time. It just amazes her, you know. My, one of the last few questions I have is where, because the look or how preachers' wives, the image has evolved. How do you see the role of a preacher's wife evolving in the future, if at all?
You know, I guess I think it comes with the age also. I'll be 62 in a couple of weeks.
You
So
weighing the
I
well.
see,
You don't look 60 nothing.
yeah, I'll be 62 in a couple of weeks. So, I've seen a lot of pastors' wives, and some of the attire that they wear, to me, is a little questionable. And it maybe, like I say, I don't. I think when you have a husband that's in ministry, or you in ministry yourself, there is a certain decorum that we should have when we enter into the house of the Lord. you know so I still have a problem, with the skin tight jeans, and you're getting up to minister before the people. I think it's inappropriate. And maybe people are evolving with that, but God says that everything is done in decent order.
Mm-hmm.
And I just, and who am I to say that is not in decent order? But that's just my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
When I go before the household of faith and I stand before God's people, I want them to focus totally on the word and not on me. I don't want to be a distraction.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so flashy, or my dress is so tight that you can see every curve, every you can just see everything. I think that's distracting, and it's taken away from the job that you're to do,
Yeah.
it's taken away from what you are trying to do, or the
Mm-hmm.
message that you're trying to deliver. I think that it takes away from it. And trust me, I'm not approved by any stretch of the imagination. I am not approved, not at all. But I still think that when you stand before God's people, or you enter into God's kingdom, that there is a certain decorum. Because I tell you what, when we were going, think about it, Reverend Carroll, when we were going out to the club, we dressed to the nines.
Mm-hmm.
So if we can dress to the nines going out to the club, why come we can't do the same when we come into the house of the Lord?
Mm-hmm.
We're standing before a holy God. Why not?
Yeah. Yeah.
Does that make sense?
It makes sense. It makes sense. And and I'm gonna say this, like you're dealing with the preachers' wives, but even for the men, we have to be mindful that we are not a distraction
Absolutely.
when we're preaching. And I think for me personally, as you talk about this, I'm evolving in terms of dress and look, and where I am right now in ministry. Anytime I preach, I'll wear my robe, one because that's my pastor's preference. So over time, because I never wore robes until I went back to my home church, and and
Mm-hmm.
and that was the thing of the house. Like the preference is to wear a robe when you preach, right? But outside of that, my thought has always been, prior to having to wear a robe, I spent a lot of time preparing a suit to wear to church when I preach.
Absolutely.
Looking
Absolutely.
good, right? And in my mental space, I'm like, Lord, if I did that, how often when I'm preaching do people say, "Look at the suit he has on," or "Look how it's tailor made," and you're missing the essence of what the Lord put in here, right? And so when I wear my robe, it's like you have nothing to be distracted about, because
Absolutely.
as a preacher, my goal is for you to listen to every word that's coming out of my mouth, be able
And
to take it, go back, study it, do
mhm.
your own due diligence, not just to due diligence to say, well, he's right or wrong or what have you, but to be able to apply it to your life. Because
Yes,
if I'm doing nothing but being a distraction, I'm undermining what God is trying to do in that time, in that ministerial time.
absolutely.
You know,
You
you
are
know,
absolutely correct.
but
Because
it,
then
yeah,
your message has been totally canceled
yeah.
because they were totally distracted and focused on what you were wearing.
But and that's I'm not against preaching in your suit. You know, I'm a millennial, so you know I get it. You know, I got fellow
Oh, you
preachers
know
who,
what? I don't have a problem preaching. No, no, no. Because my
okay,
husband sometimes preaches is in a suit,
yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
most of the times he's in a robe. But there are quite a bit of times that he does preach in just his suit. But the suit is not form fitting. It's not tight. It's not skinny jeans. It's not, you know, those little skinny leg pants. Yeah, it's a nice suit that fits. You know,
Yeah,
so
yeah, and to that, whatever you wear, seek the Lord and say, Lord, should I wear this?
should I wear this?
Should I wear this? Is this going to be a distraction? Whether you're wearing a robe or not, should I wear this? Is this going to be a
And you
distraction?
know what?
Yeah,
We know if it's a
we know.
distraction or
Yeah,
not.
we
We
know
do.
better.
We do.
We know better. There are some women, Lady Simmons, that who are preachers' wives who feel stuck in a rut. They might feel like they don't want to do it no more. They want to give up. They're just going with the flow because they feel like they have to. What do you say to those women?
Well, statistics say that a lot of, they talk about the preachers, how they are leaving the ministry, but it's not just the preacher. It's not just the ministers that are leaving the ministry. There are a lot of preachers' wives have checked out a long, long time ago. They
Mm,
checked out and they are literally going through the motions. But if I can encourage them, I would tell them to, you know what, go back and you know what, get a new, if you need to take a vacation, if you need some time to yourself, whatever you need for your own mental health, do that. Talk to your husband and tell him, hey, I just need a break. I need some time off. I need something. I need something for my own mental health. Because if not, you will go stir crazy. I do. I suggest and I encourage, I implore every ministry couple to take some time out for the ministry, even if it's a vacation, even if it's 2 weeks. You need that time. You have to. You have to have that time. Otherwise, if you're constantly, even your secular job gives you vacation time. That's why
all
they
right.
give you that time because you can't work at
Hello.
your job 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You cannot do that. You cannot do ministry 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. That's burnout. You're going to get tired. You're going to get frustrated. You need that time to yourself. So I encourage them. I encourage any pastor's wife that is feeling that way now, like she just wants to give up, that she literally wants to throw in the towel. I'm telling you, take some time out for yourself.
Yeah.
It's a must. It's mandatory that you
Yeah.
take some time off for yourself and just what they say, as the young people say, do you. Just do you. Do
Sometimes a
you.
break is necessary, and
You have to have a break.
sometimes a break is necessary. And I would encourage women, even tell your husbands to take a break sometime and take a vacation, because you
Absolutely.
have to have balance in ministry. In my humble opinion, you have to
Hmm.
have balance. You can't give 100% to the church and their home. They seeing a -5%. You know,
Yes.
yeah,
And
you
that
have.
happens a lot.
It
That
happens a
happens.
lot.
It
It,
happens.
it happens a lot. You know. Last question I have for you, and I think this is also just as important as the last question. To the women who aspire to marry a preacher, who want to be a first lady so bad, a preacher's wife so bad, what do you or she's actually dating a preacher? What advice do you have for them?
Run.
You know what?
No, no, I'm just kidding.
I wasn't ready
I'm
for that
just
one.
kidding.
I wasn't ready for that one.
You wasn't ready for
I
that one?
was I was getting ready to cut all this down. I was about to say shut the laptop down. We getting up out of here. I just I wasn't ready for that.
No. You know what? I tell you, don't go into it with the misconceptions, the starry eye, thinking that it is all a bed of roses. You know, if you think that, and if you see that, you see, if you're basing in that upon, and I just want to say Omega Ministry. You see the glitz and the glam and stuff. It is not a bed of roses. It is not. So, you have to make sure that if you are marrying a pastor, a man of God, make sure number one that you love him.
Mm,
That's the first and foremost, that you love him. Because if you love him, you will be able to put up with all the pitfalls, all the chaos, all the things that can go wrong and that will go wrong. You'll be able to put up and manage all of that because you do love him. So make sure that you're not just in it because you want to be married to a pastor and you really just don't love him. You have to, you better love him because it is more to it that meets the eye. It really is. So you better, first and foremost, you have to make sure that you love him. That's first and foremost.
Lady Deborah Simmons. I love it. Listen, tell everybody. First of all, shout out to all of your members from your church that follow you. They have been chiming in. They have been sticking it out with us this last almost hour. Tell us where we can find you on social media, your church,
All
your
right.
address. Give us all of that. Give it to us.
Okay. If anytime you come to Houston, Texas, Reverend Carroll, come on to the Crossroads. It's worth the trip to cross the road. We are located in Houston, Texas. It's 7002 Martin Luther King Boulevard. That is in South Park in the hood.
In
Okay.
the hood. I
So
love it.
come and visit us. You can follow us on social media. We're Crossroads Cathedral Church. That's on Facebook. And our personal Facebook, of course, is up there, Deborah and R.L. Simmons. And that's me and my husband name together. So it's Deborah and R.L. Simmons. So follow us. Check us out. And if
I,
you're ever in the city of Houston, come see us.
I love every bit of it. I love every bit of it. I give you my love. Thank you so much for coming on. Thank you so much for your wisdom, what you had to offer, and y'all do us a favor. Y'all go follow her on social media. You see her Facebook there. Go follow, connect with her, link up with her, and listen. Y'all do me a favor. Share this live stream. Shit. I'm late, but I made it. Listen, Tracy Business said, I'm late, but I made it. You know what? It's okay that you're late, but you made it. But guess what? You're gonna have an opportunity to go back and view this whole video, and I'm gonna tell you how. All right. So do yourself a favor. Go on right now to YouTube at Donte Carroll. You see it right there. No apostrophe. Follow us, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell, and once you hit the bell, hit all. So that way, anytime we go live, anytime we post content, anytime I have a show, it goes right to my YouTube page. We have awesome content, awesome interviews within the last year, the last 12 months. Some wonderful guests that we didn't have. So not only will you be able to get to see this video, but you'll be able to get to see other videos. Connect with me on Twitter at Donte J. Carroll, on Facebook at Donte J. Carroll Sr., and also on Instagram at Donte Carroll. If you want to be a blessing and support podcast, drop something in the Zelle, DeonteJCarroll at gmail.com, or Cash App at $ DJ Carroll 91. Listen, hit the share button. Hit the share button. And I love you guys so much. I love you all so much. Mother, don't go nowhere. I'm going to close the show out. Listen, it's a lot going on. We got COVID going on. We have so much that could get on our nerves right now, and so much that can bother us. But listen, open your mouth. Speak to the Lord. The Lord is waiting to hear from you. Okay? Don't hesitate. because the Lord has the answers to all of your problems, to all of your concerns. And even though we have a lot going on in our society, a lot that could kick us down and take our voice away, listen, whatever's going on, open up your mouth. Do me a favor, say it with your chest. I'm Reverend Donte Carroll. I love each and every one of y'all. Y'all be safe until next time. I love you guys. Y'all be good to each other and to yourselves and to your family members and friends. I'm out. Don't go nowhere, mother. I'm out.